Ever wondered what really goes on behind the scenes when two rap titans lock horns? Everyone knows Rick Ross carries himself like the ultimate boss, but there's one name that keeps creeping up. One person who reportedly leaves Ross tossing and turning at night. 50 Cent? From the outside, it seems like your classic hip-hop grudge. Two superstars flexing their status and taking verbal swipes. But what if there's more to it? What if, beneath the public disses and social media jabs, there are deeper secrets, darker connections, and revelations that could ruin everything? That's the rumor swirling around the ongoing clash between Rick Ross and 50 Cent, an on-again, off-again war that stretches all the way back to 2008. At first glance, it started with what sounded like the most trivial spark imaginable, a look, or rather the absence of a look. Some say Ross felt slighted at the BET Awards that year because 50 supposedly glared at him, or didn't even notice him, depending on whose story you believe. On the surface, it might seem ridiculous that a fleeting glance could set off such a catastrophic chain of events. But in the world of hip-hop, even the slightest show of disrespect is like a match waiting to land on a powder keg. Ross, at that time, was fresh off multiple successes, flying high with platinum plaques and a growing reputation. He already had the aura of an untouchable figure, a man who'd risen from adversity to become a rap mogul. 50 Cent, on the other hand, was still revered for his ruthless approach to feuds. He wasn't just a multi-platinum artist, he was someone who thrived on confrontation. The problem? Ross chose to poke the bear, possibly to gain clout or elevate his name alongside 50's. He was about to discover that when 50 Cent decides to strike back, it's never just about a diss track. It's about dismantling you from the inside out. It didn't take long for Rick Ross to fire the first major shot. He dropped a track called Mafia Music, where he referenced a fire that nearly claimed the life of 50's baby mama, Shaniqua Tompkins, and their son. The house went up in flames while several people were inside, sparking controversies and accusations that 50 might have been involved, though nothing was ever proven in court. Ross seized on this scandalous rumor, lacing his song with insinuations that 50 was responsible. For Ross, it was a strategic move. Harness a story that had already captured media attention and weaponize it against one of hip-hop's most combative figures. That didn't sit well with 50 Cent. If there's one thing he despises, it's having his family dragged into the line of fire. Yet, instead of responding in a purely musical way, like dropping a counter diss, he went for something far more personal. 50 began digging into Ross's past, determined to expose any skeletons that would obliterate the boss image Ross had cultivated. What 50 found was pure gold for an enemy. Ross, the self-proclaimed hustler who rapped about dealing heavyweight product on the streets, had once served as a correctional officer. Nicknamed Officer Ricky, Ross had apparently worn the badge at a Florida prison. Photos quickly emerged, showing Ross in a crisp uniform, and 50 Cent wasted no time blasting them across every platform he could. The revelation stunned fans. Ross's entire brand hinged on authentic street credibility, but these photos told a different story. To 50, it was a slam dunk, a mic drop moment that would humiliate Ross permanently. But 50 wasn't done. Sensing blood in the water, he went straight to Tia Kemp, one of Ross's baby mamas. In a move that remains one of the most memorable in rap beef history, 50 let Tia spill every detail about Ross's private life, from allegations that he leased his jewelry and cars to claims that he inflated his net worth and persona for the public eye. Tia talked about how the real Rick Ross, behind the lavish music videos, was often strapped for cash, rent was overdue, and the boss lifestyle might have been built on illusions. Whether or not every word was true, the visual of Tia and 50 side by side in interviews hammered home the message. 50 had infiltrated Ross's inner circle and turned his own family against him. The chess moves didn't end there. 50 then pulled another stunt that soared to new heights of disrespect. He whisked Tia away on a shopping spree, flaunting the purchases online, and later took Ross's son to Las Vegas with Floyd Mayweather, one of 50's close allies at the time. Photos surfaced of Ross's child hanging out with two men who publicly despised Ross, grinning for the camera. In most feuds, dragging children into the spotlight is a line even the most hardened individuals hesitate to cross, but 50 Cent seemed to relish the audacity. Overnight, the internet was ablaze with images and memes mocking Ross. Yet, in this war, 50 eventually found himself on shaky ground. When he leaked a tape featuring another of Ross's baby mamas, Lastonia Leviston, the backlash was severe. Leviston sued him for emotional distress, winning a $5 million judgment. That lawsuit forced 50 into bankruptcy, a headline-grabbing financial downfall that temporarily handed Ross a moral victory. But if you thought that was the end of the story, guess again. Over the years, these two heavyweights seemed to occasionally go quiet, giving onlookers hope that maybe they'd finally buried the hatchet. Ross would keep churning out music, hosting lavish events at his mansion, and boasting about his entrepreneurial success. 50 would channel his energy into TV production, launching shows that pulled massive viewership and turned him into a formidable force in entertainment. Fans figured maybe life had moved on, leaving the feud in the past. But Tia Kemp wasn't done. She popped up again on social media, claiming Ross was still terrified of 50, implying that her ex knew 50 held even darker secrets that could upend Ross's empire if they ever came out. Tia went on to detail allegations that Ross had been tangled in more than just rap beef, possibly life-threatening drama. She hinted at real-world consequences, involving hush money, shady alliances, and a trail of personal skeletons that Ross would do anything to keep buried. By this point, Tia had become a powerful wild card in the saga, someone who kept receipts and wasn't shy about exposing them to the public. In one scathing live stream, she teased that Ross had been caught up in the same scandalous freak-off parties, rumored to have landed music mogul Diddy under federal scrutiny. She alleged that Ross and Diddy shared more than just a friendly bond, possibly crossing into territory that could invite major legal trouble if details surfaced. Of course, none of these allegations were proven, but Tia's accusations flew around social media like wildfire, sowing more doubt about Ross's squeaky clean claims to success. For a moment, it looked as though 50 Cent had stepped out of the ring and handed Tia the microphone, but in classic 50 fashion, he couldn't resist stirring the pot when Rick Ross got cozy with Big Meech after Meech's release. Big Meech is a name that resonates deeply in rap culture. He led the Black Mafia family, BMF, an organization with extensive influence and a storyline so dramatic that 50 himself produced a TV series based on it. Seeing Ross hang out with Meech felt like a betrayal to 50, since he'd been working closely with Meech for the show. 50 fired back with an Instagram post featuring an enormous rat and a scathing caption, "I think I'm Big Meech." The internet erupted again, taking sides, speculating about hidden deals, and raising eyebrows at Meech's alliances. Ross, never one to stand idly by, laughed it off publicly, but the jabs kept escalating. At this point, it was about more than music or reputation. It was about identity, legacy, and pride. The feud now touched real people, stirred up real allegations, and potentially carried real legal implications. That's where the story takes a twisted turn, especially once Tia Kemp started referencing a woman named Ms. Carroll, who Tia claims lost her life in a suspicious incident linked to Ross or his associates. Tia didn't show all her cards publicly, but she alluded to an unsolved murder. Fans were stunned. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill rap drama. It was an ominous hint of something far darker. Online sleuths scrambled to find out who Ms. Carroll was and whether there was any verifiable link to Ross. Yet, in typical internet fashion, rumors quickly outpaced facts, and message boards lit up with theories. Some speculated Ms. Carroll had run afoul of certain people in Ross's circle, while others shrugged it off as Tia's attempt to drag Ross down. But Tia was adamant. She said if Ross didn't come clean, she'd make sure authorities heard her side. No one could confirm if there was a paper trail or direct evidence, but just the allegation was enough to raise eyebrows and spark heated debates. Before the Ms. Carroll mystery could fully unfold, Tia started releasing another set of bombshell claims about Ross's family life, mainly focusing on his role as a father. She described an 18-year roller coaster of co-parenting, or rather, the lack of it. According to Tia, Ross showed up sporadically, doing just enough to appear involved before disappearing again. She talked about Ross skipping his own son's high school graduation, which left their child reeling with disappointment. In her account, Ross's reasoning was petty, to spite Tia or prove a point in their feud. Tia's frustration pulsed through the screen as she recounted how heartbreakingly sad it was for her son to stand there on his big day, wondering if his dad would show. The family drama didn't end with Ross alone. Tia also pointed fingers at Ross's sister, Renee, accusing her of stirring the pot and manipulating conversations between father and son. Tia painted Renee as a bitter force who never truly supported Ross's relationships, especially not with Tia. She alleged that Renee practically raised Ross's child for him, but in a way that fanned the flames of resentment toward Tia. Tia insisted that Renee couldn't stand the fact Ross had once cared deeply for Tia and that jealousy fueled everything Renee did. As if these revelations weren't enough, Tia alleged Ross might have fathered more children than most fans realize, claiming that beyond the kids people already knew, he had at least one child with a Russian woman, a fact Tia said Ross kept tightly under wraps. She insisted her own son wasn't a Czech baby, but suggested the others might be. The conversation then shifted toward finances. Tia claimed Ross often threatened her with cease and desist letters, hoping to silence her. It seemed as though she had plenty of stories to tell, from fights with Ross's other baby mamas to claims of hush money flying around. Even with all this tension, Ross has maintained a certain aura of calm for the public. He rarely addresses Tia's accusations in detail, preferring to focus on his business ventures like his Wingstop franchises and property acquisitions, not to mention the extravagant parties he throws at his mansion. From an outsider's perspective, Ross looks unbothered, living the high life. But Tia's revelations suggest there's a lot he'd rather keep hidden, potentially giving 50 Cent even more ammo if he ever wants to reignite this war on a massive scale. And 50 Cent loves an opportunity to strike. He proved that with Ja Rule, with The Game, and with countless others who've tested him. He knows how to drag out a feud for years, dropping comedic yet brutal lines that keep fans engaged. So, if Tia's correct in claiming 50 still holds the ultimate trump card, we can only imagine what that might be. Could it be deeper knowledge of Ross's alleged involvement with questionable parties, proof of hush money or tampering in serious legal cases? Or something even more ominous, like real evidence tying Ross to street-level violence? The bigger question might be, does anyone in this story truly come out on top? Ross's brand has been bruised repeatedly, first from the correctional officer scandal, then from revelations about his finances, family drama, and missed milestones with his son. 50 hasn't walked away unscathed either. He lost millions in a legal fiasco, filed for bankruptcy, and faced the court of public opinion, which is never entirely predictable. Meanwhile, Tia Kemp's role has evolved from a supporting character in Ross's life to a central figure in the drama, becoming the funnel through which shocking revelations flow. She, too, has endured backlash, with some people dismissing her as opportunistic or resentful. Despite all the allegations, Ross continues to release music, occasionally landing chart-worthy tracks, and 50 Cent remains a mogul in entertainment, producing hit TV shows and continuing his playful yet brutal spats online. Their supporters often split into camps, Team Ross versus Team 50. Each side claims the moral high ground. Ross's defenders say he's a self-made success, hustling from the ground up, and 50's side retorts that Ross built a bogus image on lies. On social media, the war of words never truly stops, with fans digging up old interviews, re-editing them, and adding a fresh coat of conspiracy theory. Every now and then, a new piece of gossip surfaces, and the cycle begins again. Still, the most unsettling element remains those unresolved murmurings, hidden secrets, and potential criminal entanglements that Tia says could blow this story wide open. Are these real threats, or just an attempt to keep the drama alive? The specter of Ms. Carroll looms large, and the more Tia insists there's a connection to Ross's circle, the more people speculate about what truly happened. Then there's the possibility of investigations, which she's hinted at. If the feds ever came knocking, would this entire conflict go from rap beef to a national headline? For the time being, fans and critics alike watch from the sidelines, enthralled by the drama. 1 minute, Ross is promoting a new album, giving motivational speeches about hustling and business. The next minute, Tia is on Instagram Live, saying she's about to expose everything Ross has done for nearly 2 decades. Meanwhile, 50 uploads memes calling people out, dropping cryptic references to the BMF series, and taking subtle, or sometimes not so subtle, digs at Ross's credibility. In many ways, the feud has become a never-ending saga that might outlive both their rap careers, an ongoing storyline fueled by rumors, court documents, social media beef, and the promise of even more secrets that nobody's revealed yet. Maybe that's the genius of it. From a purely strategic viewpoint, a feud this long-running and full of intrigue keeps both artists in conversations. Controversy sells, and these two know it well. Ross leveraged the conflict early in his career to get more eyes on him. 50 used it to showcase his relentless approach and remind everyone that if you cross him, he'll take you down by any means necessary. But once you open those doors, once you expose personal information and drag family members into the fray, it's hard to close them again. Feelings get bruised, real-life consequences unfold, and what started as a promotional tactic can morph into something with permanent scars. Now, if Ross is truly losing sleep because he fears 50 might drop some final piece of incriminating evidence, that fear isn't baseless. If Tia is telling the truth, 50 might be holding a mountain of untold information, from questionable financial maneuvers to potential involvement in more serious activities. Or maybe 50's arsenal is empty, and Tia just wants her moment in the spotlight. That's the thing about this entire saga. No one except those intimately involved knows which rumors hold weight and which ones are just dramatic hearsay. What we do know is that every time this feud appears to die down, one of them breathes new life into it. Ross will post a celebratory video from his estate, 50 will respond with a mocking tweet, Tia will jump into the comments claiming she has the real story, and fans will gobble it up, analyzing every syllable. The cycle is part spectacle, part chess match, and part real-life soap opera. Perhaps that's why people can't stop watching. Here's the kicker. We might not have heard the last of these jaw-dropping revelations. The Ems Carroll storyline remains murky, Tia continues to threaten bigger reveals, and 50 Cent has a way of popping up with that trademark grin whenever an opportunity for payback arises. If any of those lurking accusations become public record, say in a lawsuit or an official investigation, this feud could become one of the biggest cautionary tales in hip-hop history. It would go beyond a casual rap beef and into the realm of serious, life-altering consequences. For now, we're left in suspense. We've watched them trade diss tracks, personal jabs, humiliating social media posts, and legal battles. We've seen Tia Kemp unveil story after story, each more dramatic than the last. We've witnessed Ross double down on his persona, putting on a brave face and shrugging off the notion that 50 Cent has him cornered. We've observed 50 dabble in every form of pettiness imaginable, from leaking tapes to flaunting bankruptcies to posting borderline incriminating jokes. And still, the question persists. Does 50 hold something so destructive that Rick Ross can't ever truly rest? If you're shaking your head in disbelief, wondering when this drama will finally end, you're not alone. Many fans thought the same thing years ago. Yet, here we are, still engrossed in each new update. Some people love the spectacle, while others hate the negativity. Either way, it's etched into hip-hop lore. Time will tell if Tia Kemp's next move ever lands, or if 50 eventually decides to reveal the alleged final card he's been hiding up his sleeve. Until then, the story remains open-ended, inviting all sorts of speculation and more than a few restless nights for everyone involved. And just when you think you've heard it all, another twist might emerge. From the depths of old court documents, from a scorned associate, or even from a private investigator hired to dig up the truth behind Ms. Carroll's fate. At this point, nothing would be too surprising, which is exactly why hip-hop heads and casual fans alike keep coming back for more. Love it or hate it, this beef has redefined what it means to wage war in the modern music era, crossing lines between public persona and private life in ways most artists wouldn't dare. So, have we reached the last chapter of this volatile saga? Hardly. If history teaches us anything, it's that this conflict is the feud that never quite dies. The only certainty is that with every new rumor or cryptic hint, the tension escalates a little more, and the possibility of a full-blown explosion looms a little closer. Keep your eyes open, because if you thought this was the end, wait until the next bombshell drops. The tea is only getting hotter, and at this point, there's no telling what these two might do for the final word.